for details. Supported by the Arts Council, Fáilte Ireland, Galway 2020, NUI Galway and Flowgas.
When it comes to your mortgage journey, we believe in permanent support. That's why we're now cutting our rates for both new and existing customers, meaning you'll benefit from lower repayments every month and see real savings on your mortgage. Talk to us today or visit permanenttsb.ie. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Rates available to new and existing home mortgage customers only. Product eligibility criteria applies. Maximum loan to value is 90%. Security and insurance is required. Warning, if you do not keep up your repayments, you may lose your home. Warning, if you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Permanent TSB plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. A more electric team-up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
You're very welcome back to Thursday evenings Off the Ball. We're continuing our football look back and forward as the European competitions come to a close in Germany and in Portugal. Delighted to say we're joined by Republic of Ireland legend John Giles. Good evening to you, John.
Good evening, Will.
How have you found the last few nights, John? I mean, we've had a fairly relentless run of football between those Europa League quarter-finals on Monday and Tuesday, and then we've had a couple of nights now of Champions League to keep the week going. For a football fan, I'd imagine it's pretty exciting to be watching all these games on neutral venues over the last few nights.
Yeah, well, it'd be great if it was back to normal and get the crowds behind it and that, Will, but it's good. I must say, I know a couple of months ago, I didn't think we'd get any matches at all. I didn't think we'd get them done. So it's going well in that respect.
We got a few cracking matches to look forward to, but were you watching PSG and Atalanta last night? We were talking to Damien Lillane just a few minutes ago, who was here in studio with us, and I think our feeling was that PSG really got out of jail last night, John.
Well, they did. Leaving it till the last 3 minutes to win a match, you're getting out of jail, Will. There's no doubt about that. I thought Atalanta were very, very good. Very hard to beat. They were good work ethic. I didn't think PSG were going to do it, to be quite honest. Although Neymar at times was absolutely brilliant. He had a great run in the first half, as we all saw, but didn't finish it off like you would expect him to do. But at certain periods in the game was very good. And of course, Mbappe coming on at half time, I think really changed the game for them. Will.
Yeah, I guess he
was very good.
Having Mbappe back is huge for them, John. I mean, he picked up that knee injury in the French Cup final. There was real doubt about whether he'd even get back for any of this Champions League run. But you saw the impact that he had when he came on last night. That's a huge boost as they get ready for the semi-final next week.
Well, it is. If he's fit enough to play, I can never understand a player, Will, that can come on and play the way he played without starting the game. I've never had an injury. I've never known anybody to have an injury that you could come on and play the way he played. It's amazing. Now, obviously, that's what they think is the best thing to do. But if it gives him another week, and as you say there, Will, he's vital to PSG to get back to win this particular game.
What did you make of Neymar? I mean, he had a big role in the 2 goals that they scored to go through. He fluffed some chances early on in the game, which he probably should have scored. But we got to see a work rate from Neymar that wasn't too different to what we saw when he dug Barcelona out of a hole against PSG 4 years ago. This was more like the Neymar that you spend €200 million for.
There was. I mean, to be fair to him, the chances that he missed, he made himself, Will. You know, he made 2 great runs. He dribbled through. I mean, I saw him do things last night, really, that I'd never seen him do before, because mostly he's playing on the left wing. What I remember of him playing on the left side, which is waiting for the ball to come to him, and he's a little bit restricted. Whereas last night, that's the first time I've seen him in a real free role. And, I mean, his dribbling was absolutely brilliant. His finishing wasn't so good, but he was a very, very valuable player for them last night.
Yeah, into the semi-finals for the first time since 1995. It's been a long wait for PSG. They've been knocked out when they've played the big teams in recent seasons, so last night's a big lift from them. They'll play the winners of tonight's game between Atletico Madrid and Leipzig. But just thinking about tomorrow, John, you don't get much bigger in the Champions League than 2 5-time winners going up against each other. Bayern Munich against Barcelona.
Well, that's the big side of the draw, Will, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you got to get Manchester City in there as well. It should be a great game. We saw them last week. The teams I've seen so far have impressed me most. The team, has been Bayern Munich. Although we had Barcelona last weekend, and you had Messi at his best again. You know, so you can never write anybody off, it's particularly somebody like Messi playing for Barcelona. But I think that the team that's impressed me the best so far, or the most so far, has been Bayern Munich. But then again, we've got to bring Manchester City into that particular group. They play that's assuming that City win. They play the winners in that group, don't they?
They do, yeah. If Man City can beat Lyon on Saturday night, they play Bayern Munich or Barcelona. So for Pep Guardiola, that'd be a game against one of his former sides if City were to get through. Yeah,
well, City would be fancied anyway, Will, I would imagine. I think they'd be everybody's favourite to get through. I think the performance against Real Madrid was a little bit too hyped up for my liking. I think, the press in England really had him almost winning the trophy. But but that will happen because they're the only team from the Premier League that's left in the particular competition. I mean, it was a good performance up against Madrid, very good, but Madrid were awful, I thought. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what side of the draw. That is definitely the hard side of the draw, with those three particular teams in it.
Yeah, because it seemed to me, John, like Real Madrid turned up in Manchester without any great intensity. I know the two mistakes from Rafa Varane and how well Gabriel Jesus played for Man City are probably the headlines, but just in a general sense, this is a Real Madrid team who'd won a couple of European Cups in the last few years. Compared to where they were in 2018 when they beat Liverpool in Kiev, Real Madrid seem to have gone back a long way since, John.
I'd say it was the worst Real Madrid I've seen in a long, long time, Will. There was no life about them. The Varane, as you said, making mistakes at the back. They didn't look... City totally outplayed them. I mean, City played well and good luck to them. But I was very, very disappointed in Real Madrid. I expected an awful lot more from them. They've gone back a long, long way. There's no doubt about that.
Manchester City, still at this point, they're waiting to see what happens with Sergio Aguero's fitness. He's struggling at the moment, but he's got an extra week maybe to come back. It looks like Gabriel Jesus, the Brazilian striker, will probably play up front again for this semi-final. Were you impressed by how he played? Because there was rave reviews about the performance he put in against Real Madrid last weekend.
Well, I think he's a top player, and he's only young, and I think he'll get better and better. I can't see Aguero coming back. He's been out for a long, long time. I can't see him coming back. He'll obviously be on the bench, but I can't see him taking over from Jesus. Is that my man's name? The City centre forward. I think he's a very, very good player, and I think he'll get better as time goes by. I think his attitude is good. I think he has abilities. I mean, taking the second goal and reading it the way he did last week, and making it look easy, knocking it past the goalkeeper, and he scored quite a few goals for them. And he's only a young player, and he'll get better and better. I'm not
sure, John, whether it's going to catch them out against Lyon, who aren't the biggest scorers, and Lyon have played very few games. They lost to PSG in the League Cup final in France, and then they played that one game against Juventus where they squeezed through on away goals as it worked out. I don't think they're going to be a big goal-scoring team, but as this tournament goes on, I would still have lingering concerns, because Man City are favourites with the bookmakers to win the tournament as things stand. I really wonder about their defence if they come up against a top team in the semi-final.
Well, they've got to get through this one first, Leon, as we know, Will. You'll always have this doubt about City at the moment. I mean, we know they've signed Aka for next year and maybe another defender, but they don't defend well. But they do attack very well. So it'll be very, very interesting to see on the night whether it's Barcelona or Bayern Munich, what's going to happen with City. I just can't see it in City in a way that some of the papers are talking about them, because of, you just mentioned there, that their defensive frailties, you just can't depend on them. But on their day, they can be brilliant as well, as we know, Will. I think Bayern, Barcelona as well, but I think Bayern Munich, I would think, would be favourites to beat Barcelona. That's my opinion. And I think it would be very, very difficult for City if they meet Bayern Munich in the semi-final.
From what you've said there about Bayern Munich, I feel roughly the same about them. I've been really impressed with how they've played. They came back from lockdown in Germany. They cleaned out their games in the Bundesliga, beat their rivals Borussia Dortmund, 8 in a row now in terms of the Bundesliga for them. And then no real problems taking Chelsea out over 2 legs. 7-1 on aggregate in the end, John. I mean, that shows a kind of a ruthless streak about them too, because when you're 3-0 up from the first leg in London, there was no real need for them to go out and hammer Chelsea a second time round, but almost like a sign of intent that they weren't going to let up against Chelsea last weekend.
Yeah, who's the manager there?
Hansi Flick has come in, John. They switched manager mid-season. Kovac wasn't having the best of times, and it seems Hansi Flick has just turned things around for them.
Well, it looks like it. You know, I haven't seen them play with the intensity that they showed last week for a long time. You know, there was an intensity, as you say, when they were winning and scoring the goals last week. They never let up at all. They kept at it and kept at it and kept at it, as all the top sides do. I think there was a spell there now in the last year or so where they looked a little bit complacent to me. They weren't as aggressive as they should be. But in that match last week against Chelsea, they were excellent. And I think I said earlier on, I think that they're I've been most impressed by them than any other team I've seen so far in the competition. So it'll be a great match to watch against Barcelona and Bayern at the weekend. There's no doubt about that. And then with City, that's if City do what we expect them to do, to come on and play either of those. But at the moment, definitely, I would fancy Bayern Munich.
Yeah, remarkable turnaround. This is the Bayern Munich team who were put out easily enough by Liverpool the season before in the round of 16, and now here they are looking like a team who could very possibly win the European Cup, having won both of the competitions in Germany, the German Cup and the League this season. Yeah. John, when it comes to Barcelona, I mean, in many ways, like Leo Messi now at this point, he is 33 years of age. He's probably going into the final couple of years of his prime. Remarkable player that he's been. He's had a very kind of frustrated season because the players in front of him haven't really been scoring the goals. But the one thing for Barcelona, as much as I think a lot of people are expecting Bayern Munich to win that game in Lisbon tomorrow evening, we've seen Leo Messi in big occasions in Europe just turn it on and win games almost by himself.
Well, you'd never back against Barcelona with Messi in the team because he's capable of doing whatever needs to be done. Will, you know, I mean, I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting a lot of money on Bayern Munich, but I think they have a better all-round team. But if Messi on his day, well, we saw him last week in that particular match. I thought he was brilliant last week. And what is he, 33? But a lot of players are at their best at that age. It depends on the individual, Will. But, I mean, Messi's the type of lad who's obviously kept himself well. And at 33, it could be. I've seen players at their peak at 33. It depends how you keep yourself physically. And obviously he kept himself physically well by any stretch of the imagination. And I think he still has the appetite to do it. So I think a lot depends on the players around him. I think he can inspire them, but I don't think they're quite the Barcelona they were two years ago. Not because Messi's gone back, but the other players are not up to the standard that they were at that particular time. So that's why I'd fancy Bayern Munich. But I wouldn't put anything past Messi at any stage, Will. He's a genius.
Well, look, anyone who loses Xavi and Iniesta in recent seasons and Neymar, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. We'll be talking to Dermot Corrigan from The Athletic a little bit after 9 o'clock to get the opinion on Barcelona against Bayern Munich. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be asking John about Manchester United's semi-final in the Europa League against Sevilla this coming Sunday when we come back.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. More confident than United before a Europa League final. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Did you know immediately that they were okay?
Yeah, they were there. They were sitting up on their boards, waving their paddles. So they did the right thing, stayed together all night, and just basically drifted. And then when they come across the buoy early this morning, they held on to that, and that saved their life as much as we did getting them in the boat.
Hear the full Hard Shoulder podcast at newstalk.com and on the Newstalk app.
The famous Holland & Barrett 1 cent sale is back, with buy one, get one for just 1 cent on hundreds of everyday favourites. And you can even mix and match. Shop the 1 cent sale now in store and at hollandandbarrett.ie. Ends 25th of the 8th, 2020. Selected items, cheapest item 1 cent, subject to availability.
When it comes to reviewing your finances, a good place to start is by reviewing your mortgage. It's something few people ever do. But if you never review your mortgage, you'll never know if there might be a better option. That's where the Ulster Bank mortgage team could help. Wherever you bank, be sure to talk to us and see if switching could make a difference. Just search Ulster Bank Switch. Ulster Bank. Help for what matters. Over 18s only. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
From the apartment in the city to the cottage in the country, At Energia, we're the power behind 250,000 customers across Ireland. And right now, there's never been a better time to join us and save on your electricity and gas with our cheapest dual fuel bundle. Wherever you're living, know you always get the biggest savings by coming direct to us. Go direct to energia.ie and switch today. Energia, the power behind your savings. EAB €1,364 based on average annual usage. 12-month contract, discounted unit rates, standing charge, PSO levy and carbon tax, T's and C's and early termination fee apply. Valid from June 2020 and subject to change. Verification and T's and C's at energia.ie/EAB.
Some are tall, others are small. Some are older, some are older? No, never. There's nothing uniform about kids, except their uniform. Shop dunstores.com for our full back-to-school range ready to deliver safely to your door. Or collect for free at your nearest Dunnes stores. For back-to-school, go to dunstores.com today. Terms and conditions apply.
That's the sound of sausages sizzling on Emma's new Siemens induction hob from Harvey Norman. She bought at the great price of €369, saving €240. At Harvey Norman, we've the best prices and best deals on cooking appliances, like the Whirlpool induction hob, now only €299. And get a set of pots and pans worth €129 absolutely free when bought with either of these hobs. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, your cooking specialists.
Go!
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. A more electric team-up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Football this Thursday evening with John Giles. John is stuck with us. We were talking about the Champions League before the break, moving over to the Europa League, where there is still an English team left. It's not going to be an all-English semi-final between Manchester United and Wolves, because Wolves were knocked out by Sevilla. But John, we've got Manchester United in this semi-final against the side from Spain on Sunday. You were watching United against Copenhagen during the week, where they just about got over the line with that 1-0 win with that penalty from Bruno Fernandes. They weren't all that good against the Danish team, though, were they?
They were very poor. Well, they got away with it, really. Copenhagen, had it been a little bit better, could have done them on the night. Fernandes scored a penalty, as we know, but I thought United were poor. There was no life about them. You would expect them in a match like this, where they've been looking forward to it, playing in Europe, could win a European competition. And, there was no urgency about them. There was no real go about them. And Copenhagen had a couple of chances. I think United just about deserved to win it, but just about.
Yeah, the Copenhagen goalkeeper, Johansson, had an incredible game, probably the game of his career with the saves he made. He made 11 or 12 saves, with 3 or 4 of them being quite good ones during the game. But at the same time, as you mentioned, the guy Flack, who was up front for Copenhagen, the long-haired chap who was playing at the right of the front three, used a couple of tricks and got in behind United a few times. There were certainly plenty of frailties in that United defence during the game. Yeah,
you wouldn't expect it. I thought they'd be way up for it in a European competition. They just weren't there, and I couldn't explain why. But I would have expected them to be out, get into it, really be on top form, and they weren't. But they got through. So they've got a chance to get back a bit of form for the weekend, or when they play. But you'd want more from them. You need more from them to go on and win this competition than they showed the other night.
I wonder if the argument is, John, and we maybe saw that with Wolves, who weren't their kind of energetic self in the game against Sevilla, whether these games are just maybe catching up with them slightly, because there was a lot of kind of walking back and not high intensity and no particular pressure being put on the man of the ball in either of those games. Both the English teams, I thought, looked pretty leggy. Well,
it could well be. They've played a lot of matches. Well, we know that, and it does catch up on you, But what I saw with Manchester United and Wolves to a certain extent, are they making a lot of players weren't making the effort to get back. You can see a player making the effort back and he's struggling a bit and say, God, he's down. But the way it was sort of easy-ozy. Wolves didn't show what they were capable of either. But as you said, they've played a lot of matches, and that could well be the reason.
Yeah, and I think we saw as well that Rashford at times looked a little bit tired during that game. Martial didn't have the biggest of games. We were kind of praising them last week, John, but I think in the interest of fairness, the front three for United didn't really click in the same way during the week.
No, there was no life about them. It could well be, but I may be being a bit harsh on them. But they certainly didn't play. But there again, you know, when you see a team trying, you can see he's trying. He's struggling, but he's trying. I didn't see that with Manchester United, and indeed I didn't see it from Wolves either. So it was United are through, so they can make up for it. Wolves are out, as we know, so that's the end of them in this particular competition. I thought both sides. I was just disappointed in the two Premier teams.
Yeah, interesting to see if United make changes. I mean, potentially Matic could come in for Fred as he came on. Lindelof could well start ahead of Bailly, and maybe they could make some changes up front. Maybe even Igalo, John, could play up front to give them a focal point, which they didn't have the other night. They could put him up front and maybe rest one of those three young players.
Well, it could well be. You know, they have to do something to improve it, and it might be they need the fresh legs to come in and get a bit of life about them that they didn't have the other night. Definitely. You mentioned earlier the amount of games that teams have played, so I did a quick check on how the English teams have been going just in terms of the length of their seasons. Now that we're into August, Chelsea played 55 games this season, John. Man City have played 50. Manchester United's game at the weekend is going to be their 50th when they play Sevilla, and Wolves played 48 games with their Europa League campaign starting back in late July, early August of last year. That's a lot of matches being played. It's resulted in a change ahead of the next season. I know the pandemic plays into this somewhat. FA Cup replays are going to be gone from the very first round. It's going to be knockout all the way through. You're a two-time FA Cup winner between Leeds and Manchester United. What do you reckon, John? I mean, I guess something probably had to give, and even though this is probably going to affect some of the smaller clubs not getting the chance to earn a replay to bring a team around, it was always likely to go this way, wasn't it?
Well, I think it's right to do it, but you must remember with this virus situation, the players had a long rest. Well, they weren't playing all the time. Don't forget. Now, you know, so they played that amount of matches. I know Wolves played a certain amount over a year, but there was a big break in between. But I think that the fact that they are having no replays, and is it the FA Cup or the League Cup and that?
Yeah, so the FA Cup, John, is going to have no replays anymore, so it's going to be a straight run to the final, and they made one change to the League Cup. So up until this year, there was semi-finals in the League Cup, first and second legs. They're now going to be one-off affairs. They haven't said whether it's going to be a neutral venue or not, but the two-legged semi-final is gone, so that's another couple of games taken away.
Well, I think that's right. I think this has been an exceptional season, as we know, Will. But I think generally speaking, there have been too many matches that have gone into cup matches that have gone into extra time and replays and all the various things. I think it's right to get a result, whether it be in the FA Cup or the League Cup, because I think there have been far too many matches, and that's the right way to do it. But this particular season has been exceptional in that the players, in many ways, has been a help. Will, because they got a long rest. Now they're late finishing, and they'll have a very short, close season. So I think that no matter whether the virus thing was on this year or not, I think they've been playing too many matches in extra time and replays. I think it's good for all the players and the clubs to finish the matches in a one-off situation, to go to extra time or penalties, whatever it might be. I think that's the right thing to do. I think there have been too many matches anyway.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing about it as well, John, a lot of these players are going to be playing international football over the next while. Next summer, we're going to have a European Championships, which were pushed back by 12 months. Then we're getting into that cycle for the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. There's going to be a lot of football for the very elite players over the next while.
Yeah, well, I think it's the right thing to do is to play as few and make it easier in the cup matches. And maybe even in the European competition, we'll have to wait and see what they can do for that. Because no matter how fit the players are, no matter who they are, if you're playing too many matches, it's taking too much out of you, and we're going to get a lot of injuries, and that's no good to anybody. And definitely, I haven't had a look at the detail of it, but I'm sure that they will get together and try to cut down as many matches as they possibly can.
And I wonder as well, John, whether we might have an appetite next year if this festival of football we have over the next couple of weeks goes quite well, then maybe if they want to cut the Champions League season and the Europa League season down a bit next year, possibly maybe one-off quarterfinals from now on might be the way to go next year.
Well, it might well be, especially this was an exceptional season this season, but there's going to be a kick on to the next season where we will have a lot of matches again. And why not do it? You know, we'll have the crowds back, hopefully, at that particular stage. But I think the European Cup matches, again, it goes back to finance, Will. The less matches they play, the less money comes in. So that'll be in their mind in a big way. But I think using common sense to cut down the matches as much as they possibly can, especially for this year and next year, would be the correct thing to do.
Well, I'm really looking forward to all the football we're going to have over the next few nights. Atletico against Leipzig getting underway in about 4 minutes' time. John, thanks for your time as always, and we'll speak to you again next Thursday evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Will.
OK, well, don't forget to check out the podcast of tomorrow morning's OTB Brief, where you'll find a 5-minute roundup of the day's sports news to set you up for the day. There's no doubt to be plenty of reaction to tonight's game between Atletico and Leipzig, and more on the positive COVID-19 test result at Munster Rugby. The OTB Brief is brought to you in association with Now TV. Watch Sky Sports on the Now TV Sky Sports Pass, and watch BT Sport and Premier Sport on the Sports Extra Pass. We will take a very short break for the news at 8.
Sign up for News Talk Extra, our email newsletter straight to your inbox. newstalk.com/extra.
Coming soon, a love story on the open road. Kate's driving her friends to Dublin for the weekend, but her crush Johnny only has eyes for Emma.
Hey Johnny, why don't you sit up front with me and remind me to pay my M50 toll?
No need, Kate. I've got the M50 Quick Pay app.
Thanks, Emma. You're such a good friend.
Forget Me Not, out now. The M50 Quick Pay app lets you prepay your M50 toll and sends you reminders to pay after your journey. Download the M50 Quick Pay app today. Tolling is a vital source of funding for the operation and maintenance of our national roads network.
At Guaranteed Irish, we believe enterprise is at the heart of thriving communities.
Like Black Knight, the #1 Irish web host. From small beginnings in 2003, today Black Knight hosts more Irish websites than anyone else, offering email, domains and a range of business services. Operating locally and trading internationally, the Black Knight team in Carlow supports 84,000 customers in 130 countries. Guaranteed Irish welcomes companies that are altogether better choices for our communities. So look out for it. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Sounds like there's a breakdown in communication. Next time, come to a Skoda workshop, where our after-sales team speaks fluent Skoda. We understand those mysterious little sounds and can fill you in on all your car's needs. We also offer free 12-month roadside assistance and only use genuine parts. Book your service at skodaservice.ie. Skoda. Simply clever.
From food to home to fashion, Dunnes Stores brings you great quality and great value all in one store. And now when you spend €10 or more in-store on homewares or clothing, we'll give you a fabulous €5 off €25 voucher to spend on groceries. So if you're stocking up on socks, buying holiday at home basics or refreshing your home with candles, throws and cushions, spend €10 or more and get a €5 off €25 grocery voucher to spend on your food shop. Only at Dunnes Stores. Always better value. T's and C's apply. Minimum spend required.
Has your car insurance increased this year? Stop. Don't pay it until you call Sheridan Insurances. Our friendly team of experts are here to speak to you and understand your needs. We search over 15 insurers to get you the best insurance policy, leaving you more time and money to enjoy the important things in life. Shop local. Call Sheridan Insurances today. Sheridan Insurances Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
On 106 to 108 FM, on newstalk.com, on smart speaker and on the Newstalk app. This is Newstalk.
Good evening, I'm Trevor Keegan. The fisherman who rescued 2 women off the coast of County Galway says he used his experience to identify where they may have drifted to. The 17 and 23-year-old cousins spent 15 hours in the water after going paddleboarding from Furbo last night. This morning, fisherman Patrick Oliver and his son Morgan joined the search and found the women clinging to a buoy that acted as a marker for a lobster pot off Inisheer Island. Patrick says he judged the conditions to determine where the 2 women would end up.
It's just over time you build up experience. Last night when the wind was northerly there, it was coming off the land because it was on the north shore where they were paddleboarding, and with the wind and just predicting where they did travel or would go, if they were sitting up on the board, that's where we thought they would. So we just aimed for that area and went.
The chair of the Oireachtas COVID-19 committee claims the meat industry is being treated with kid gloves by the state. Factory owners, unions and state agencies have been giving evidence before TDs on the recent increase in cases in food processing plants. The committee's been told workers are petrified of contracting the virus. Just 20% receive sick pay, and the industry contains unrivalled vectors for transmitting COVID-19. Committee Chair TD Michael McNamara thinks meat factories are being given special treatment.
And there's a huge contrast between how the hospitality sector has been treated and how the meat industry has been treated in terms of inspections, in terms of manpower allocated to inspect it. What magic touch does the meat industry have in Ireland so that it's treated so differently to any other sector?
Meanwhile, 92 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the Republic today. Dublin and Kildare both account for 24 cases each. 72% of all new cases are among people under the age of 45. Lastly, 150 jobs are being cut at Arnott's and Brown Thomas. The company says 2020 is the toughest year it has experienced. Management says it will now consult with staff about options including voluntary redundancies, adjusting hours, career breaks or early retirement. And that's all for the moment. We'll have news again at 9.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. For great value home insurance, go online to the aa.ie.
Showers tonight in the south, some possibly thundery. Mainly dry elsewhere though, and staying mild and humid with lows of 14 to 17 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, official sponsors of the Irish rugby team. Team of us. Everyone in.
Delighted to say we're now joined this evening by Energia Ambassador, Ireland and Leinster player Jordan Larmour. Jordan has been taking part in a two-part documentary which has been looking at his 2019-20 season. And Jordan, it's been a little bit unusual. While the filmmakers were going around, they didn't get the traditional finish to the season that we would have expected in May. And here we are now a couple of weeks out from rugby returning on the 22nd of August.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was strange enough times, but look, rugby's getting back soon. We've been back training now for a few weeks. Training's been going well, and look, it's hugely exciting getting back to rugby, and we're all raring to go.
Is it a huge itch to actually get back onto the field now? Because it's pretty much 5 months since the Six Nations was brought to a conclusion. By the time you get back out for these two interprovincial games at the Aviva Stadium at the end of this month, I'd imagine you're just kind of raring to go at this stage.
Yeah, 100%. We finished off with the English game, finished off with a loss, and we've had that sitting with us. You know, any time after a loss, you just want to get straight back on the pitch and get back to winning. But we haven't played a game now for 5 months, and we've been training away now, building up nicely, and we're just really looking forward to getting back out on the pitch.
Yeah, because Andy Farrell was asked about that last week when he was giving his update ahead of the return to rugby, and he was asked, was it a good time maybe to have a break after what happened at Twickenham? And he said, no, genuinely, there was a feeling in the camp after everyone went through the bits and pieces on the Monday session that everyone was excited about getting back out and playing these games against Italy and France. Was that the feeling among the player group that week?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we were really disappointed on a few aspects of the game. Game kind of got away from us, and like I said, anytime after a loss, you just want to get back out on the pitch. And we didn't have the opportunity to do that. So that was frustrating. But obviously we knew what was going on in the world, and there's bigger things in rugby. But, we were just really looking forward to getting back out and putting in a good performance against Italy. That didn't happen now. So, with these games coming up now, we're just really looking forward to getting back out on the pitch.
Was it good as a player as well to get some clarity about what the rest of the season is going to look like? Because we know now that on the last 2 weekends of October, you've got Italy at home, that trip to Paris on Halloween weekend, and then this new 8-game series, which I'm sure there'll be more detail, but effectively by the middle of November, this 8-game series will take place. At least now you kind of know where your season is actually mapping out to.
Yeah, definitely. I think all the lads, we like to have clarity and know what we're doing each week. So obviously we're still taking it game by game. We're not looking too far ahead into the future. And look, the first game against Munster in the Aviva doesn't really get much bigger than that. Those games are always a bit spicy, and it'll be a good test. It's always a physical battle. In training we've been doing a bit of live stuff to try and get the bodies used to taking hits and making hits again. So look, it should be good, and I'm sure everyone's excited to get back watching rugby as well.
Orgie Sneeman was saying that last week at Munster. He was saying that it was almost the perfect place for him to make his debut. He was looking forward to a game that, albeit it's going to be players coming back in, maybe a little bit rusty after the break, but you're coming back into a fixture that sharpens the mind perfectly. The two rivals taking on each other in what could be the first of a couple of meetings in short succession in the Pro 14.
Munster are a quality side, and it'll be a big test for us. Obviously, we haven't played a game for 5 months now. We've been just training away. And there probably will be a little bit of rustiness there, and even having no crowds there. that's definitely going to be a bit weird, especially in the warm-up. I think, looking around and seeing just an empty stadium. But I think as soon as the game gets going, we'll kind of be into the flow of things and thinking about our next job and the job at hand. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
It is going to be unusual. I mean, I think it was compared a few times to being almost like going back to club rugby or underage rugby, where there's only going to be the support staff around at a cavernous Aviva Stadium. And that's in all likelihood going to be the case for the Saracens quarter-final in the Heineken Champions Cup next month too. It's going to be very unusual to play a series of big games for you at provincial level over the next month and to look up at empty stands.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird. We've been training down a bit in the RDS just to try and get that feel of playing in an empty stadium.
I would imagine as well it's going to be very unusual when you're making those calls, whether it's at full back or on the wing, and you're going to be hearing literally everything that the other team is saying, even when they're a distance away.
No, it will be. We won't know what they'll be calling stuff, but we won't know what they're doing, and it'll be the same for them. But